Alright, so this is going to be a quick video going over the new route for 1.4 100%. There's some things that are a little difficult to explain, so I'll try my best when we get to those. Starting off here, we're just going to pick up 6 eggs. We're going to make a red egg for later. Snipe that flower that's off screen, and then snipe this one here. So here's the first major route change. So we're going to pick up 4 stars from this bird here. So first off, it takes around 7 frames to face left to manipulate him. So what I'm doing here, I face left, that causes the screen to scroll later, so the bird jumps later. And this gets him in a favorable position. That way I can egg him when he's at the peak of his jump, and I can pick up those 4 stars with a ricochet. So we're 4 stars ahead, or we've gained 4 stars, but we're also down 1 egg versus the world record. And here's the next new thing. So this part, there's 1 red coin up here. What the world record does is they go through the mid ring. But we're going to skip the mid ring here and also get the egg back that we just threw. Next part here, we're going to swap to the yellow egg and then do a ricochet shot. That's going to get us 2 extra stars plus the 5 that's in the star cloud here. So here's the next change. So there's 2 red coins right here. What the world record does is they shoot the 2 coins with an egg. But obviously that costs you an egg. But we're going to do something a little bit different to pick those up. So at this point we need 4 eggs. We're gonna get those. You may have missed it here, but when I'm on the ground in this part here, I'm looking upward, holding up on the D-pad, and that's gonna cause what's known as a buffered screen scroll. So when I land in the next area where the screen's able to scroll up, it's gonna scroll up automatically, and that's gonna be important because it's gonna let us get a flower that's usually off screen. So here's how we're picking up the 2 red coins now. We're gonna flutter down here and then cross the lava this way. It's a little tricky because it is pretty tight. Like, you just barely make it right there. It's pretty tough actually to get that in real time. So unfortunately that does lose a little bit of time versus shooting it, but we do save an egg by doing that. And it takes around 25 frames to get an egg from the egg block. So overall we saved, I think it's 11 frames in that little section. So here's the next part. When I landed on this ledge here, you can see how the screen scrolls up automatically, and that's going to load in the flower up here. We're going to do an up shot to get that flower, and then do a neutral shot to get that one down below. There's a red coin off to the left that we're going to do a backward shot for. Pick up that shy guy. And then here's when this route gets a little tricky. So I want the 2 red eggs to be back to back. So I'm facing backwards right here to get the key to fly towards me. When a key breaks out of a vase, it's going to fly whichever direction you're facing. So if I face left, it's going to fly towards me in this scenario. And then just to go over how the vase break here works. If you shoot the vase while it's off screen, for whatever reason, I'm not sure exactly why it works, but you can get it to break instantly like that. I think it's because of shooting it while it's off screen. Maybe it spawns in the air. I don't know exactly. All I know is it works and it saves time versus going over here and, you know, tossing a couple eggs at it. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked here, so back to the egg route. We want 2 red eggs back to back, but unfortunately if I pick up this next green egg coming out of the egg block, it's going to put the egg order as red, green, red, and that's going to be bad for an upcoming room. So I'm going to do an extra egg shuffle right there, and then everything's good. Backwards tongue that second egg to maintain speed, and we'll be on our way out of here. This is our last red coin right there. And then here's where things are a little bit different, I suppose, at least compared to what you would do in a full game run. So at this point we have 5 eggs. In the previous room we had 5 eggs plus the key, but the key takes up an egg slot, so we only had 5 going in through this room. So what full game runs would do would be go left, pick up an egg from this egg block, and then head out. But getting an egg from this block is around 46 frames. So instead, we're just going to opt to skip it. Keep in mind, we want the 2 red eggs being our next 2 eggs going into this room here. And then here's where things are a little bit different versus the world record. And every time I say that, I mean the current individual level record held by Poir. So what he does, there's a ricochet shot up here that picks up, it knocks out this first piranha, gets the second one, and then he does a neutral on the ground, jumps in the air, does a neutral, or not a neutral, an aim shot, ricochet to get the bottom left one, and then he upshots the flower on the way out. But unfortunately, since he does have to do that ricochet, it is a little bit slower. I think I did some testing, it's around 20 frames slower versus another fast strat. So what we're going to do instead here, keep in mind, or I guess it's important to note that we do have the 2 red eggs as our next 2. So we're picking up 2 stars here. With the neutral, we're going to jump an upshot. Doing the jump is important because it means that the egg has to travel a shorter distance. And then we're going to do a neutral in the corner, get the top left, and then do an aim shot against the wall midair. And then you sort of have 2 options here. If you had another egg, you definitely want to shoot the flower here, because then you can just go out the door right away. But we need this egg for the boss fight right at the start. So what we're going to do here is just pick up the flower manually. And this is why we jumped just a second ago. Jumping here to start my flutter as soon as I can. That way I can be at the height that I need to get the flower. And then we can be heading out. The problem with the flower is that you can't get it with a normal jump. But with a flutter you can just barely reach it. We also pick up those 2 stars that we got from the piranha that was in the top right. So overall, this room saves. Hold on, let me double check here. Okay, so we lose 10 frames because of this strat here, because of getting the flower manually. That's the main time loss. However, we do get a couple extra stars here, so that each star from the mid ring will save you 8 frames. So in other words, it takes 8 frames to get 1 star from the mid ring. So that's why we do save a little bit of time here. And then we're gonna go ahead and head out, get the mid ring. So we do need 5 stars, unfortunately, but that's as best the route can do. So to sum it up, the world record takes the first mid ring and the second one. So it's getting 11 stars from the mid ring. It just gets 1 from the final one here. Whereas with this route, we're only getting 5 stars from the mid ring, and then we get the other stars from the first star cloud in the hallway right here. So this is the same between both routes, getting that. And then the current world record also gets 2 stars in this room with a ricochet shot with a yellow egg on the piranha. So yeah, we do save time because of less time spent being frozen in the mid ring. And that's pretty much it. I think I covered everything here. It's a lot of little things all put together. So like, we lose an egg here, but we gain 4 stars. And then those 4 stars cut down the mid-ring time. 8 frames per star, so that's 32 frames saved at the cost of 1 egg. And then we're also skipping the mid-ring, the first one anyway, because it makes more sense to skip it entirely if you can. Because if you're going to get the second one, you might as well only get the second one if possible. And I think with that, I've covered everything. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I may have missed. I'll also link I'll link the current world record down below so you guys can see and compare it if you want. But overall, this route saves between 0.7 seconds and 0.9 seconds. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of variance due to human error and playing in real time, but it's definitely a nice little improvement over the previous route. This is definitely viable for the most part in a full game run, at least until you get to this flame part here, because the flames jump out randomly, so that can kind of screw you over. The alternative here would be to just land on the left side of the mid-ring and then jump over, and that would still save a little bit of time, but obviously you lose time because you're not running at full speed the entire way. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we do have this really precise flutter right there to grab those 2 coins. It's really easy to drop low and fall in the lava, but everything else is pretty doable. And with this new route, it actually makes the Piranha Plant room easier, at least compared to the current individual level record, because the ricochet shot for the top right and top left is super precise. So you never really would get that in a full game run, but it actually ends up saving time here. So, yeah. Hope this explanation helped to better understand the route, and I hope I covered everything. If you have any questions or any improvements or suggestions that you think we could be making to the route, just let me know and post those in the comments. And with that, thanks for watching.